Hey everybody, it's Wave Storm Tracking Team. Meteorologist Ryan Hoke here. Yes, I'm here on a Saturday. Carson Meredith's off today, but he's back with you tomorrow as we are tracking those storms Sunday morning, and really Sunday evening is when the bulk of the storm chance is going to come to fruition around here in Wave Country. All right, hi to all the folks on YouTube like Nathan. Hello to you. We've got Eli. And, of course, we've got, looks like Jason Hamilton's on here. He said, good evening to Carson, but Carson is taking a little R&R today, but he'll be back with you from tomorrow. Eli is in Crestwood, and ZK Hodge is on with us here from YouTube this evening. Of course, if you do not have the Wave Weather app, this is the time to have it, because we give you those live stream notifications saying, hey, guess what? We're getting ready to go live, and we're going to discuss the next big weather maker or an alert day. In this case, we don't have an alert day for Sunday yet. Fingers crossed, we might be able to keep it that way. So far, it looks like we'll be able to stay just underneath that criteria, and I'll show you what I'm talking about by that here in just a moment. A few more folks like Pam Smith in here from Facebook. We've got Patty on YouTube. We've got, of course, Unbridled Carnage, which is a username on YouTube, says, nice weekend compared to last. Yes, it is. Angela Vanderberg, our friend on Facebook there, saying hello to us there. And, of course, Vessie Taylor on YouTube. We've got Ruby Griffiths, I should say, on Facebook here. And Nathan says, hey, I got the alert. I like it, because he's obviously able to get notified of when our live streams are starting. All right, so now that we've said hello to everybody, all 200-plus folks in here on social media, and likely numerous more here on the Wave Weather app and the Wave News app, let's get you started with what we've seen today, what we're going to see, and kind of give you this holistic sort of view of what's getting ready to happen with these storms tomorrow. First off, it's been a beautiful day, highs in the lower 60s, cobalt blue sky. Had a few little thin wispy clouds up there earlier from that SkyTrack camera view, but that has since gone away for now. Temperatures are in the 50s. Not a bad evening. This was kind of a normal sort of day. All right, let's talk a little bit more about these Sunday storms. I'm going to just dive right into what we're seeing on the radar, which is not a whole lot right now. See the clouds starting to move in from the west. That's a sign of this system starting to take shape. You look out toward parts of the Midwest and the Plain States, and you see the rain, and especially this area of low pressure up here near Bismarck, North Dakota. And that's going to be transitioning eastward. As it does, it's going to be pulling this cold front through, and eventually we will see that cold front kind of over us as we head toward tomorrow evening, bringing us that grand finale, 100% chance of storms as a line of storms moves on in. So that's kind of the setup right now as we see it. There's going to be two waves of rain here. The first wave of rain will be that, just rain. You might hear a rumble of thunder, but I don't think we'll have enough instability in the atmosphere in the morning to see, or hear, I should say, much thunder. That's a 60% chance of rain by 9 a.m. So when you wake up, you're heading out to Sunday services, maybe to Sunday brunch, take the raincoat and the umbrella. It will be kind of a soggy start to the day. Now, there is kind of like this break around midday, around, say, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., where we here in Louisville and much of the Commonwealth may dry out for a little bit. Now, if you're up in Seymour, you may be raining this entire time, because you'd be a little closer to where the track of this kind of secondary area of low pressure is going to be moving through, and so you would stay stuck in the rain most of the day. Then that moves us to round two, which is the kind of main event for Sunday. During the afternoon, we start to see some storms move in from the north and west, and then a line eventually develops out to our west and moves through around 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and very quickly it'll sweep out of here and give us a drier night in first part of our Monday. So that's just kind of what we're seeing from a sort of a timing sort of standpoint here. I want to get to a couple of your comments here before we move on here. Jay is asking, what is the hail chance with this? This would be a pretty low hail scenario here. This would be more of a damaging wind scenario. ZK asking, will it rain all day Sunday? Well, as I just explained, we're kind of seeing this midday sort of break. So while it kind of looks like it rains all day, I think there will be some breaks in the rain. It's not going to be an all-day rain, but most of the day we will have rain on the radar. It may just not be hitting your house at every single particular time. Teresa asking about the hail. Everybody's still kind of just on edge because of all the hail we've had lately. This does not look like that big of a hail scenario here. Patty kind of explaining there may be some breaks in the rain in between. Nathan's asking, will we get a watch, like a severe thunderstorm watch? A few of our counties could get clipped by one, and this would be in southern Kentucky. I don't think Louisville would go under a watch based on the latest data I'm seeing right now. And that's partly why we don't have an alert day, is just such a small area of our viewing area would be affected by, some stronger storms here. Patty had that same question about a severe thunderstorm watch. So hope that clears that up. Let's go through some of the data here with Futurecast. Notice this timing is sort of a wide window between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. just to see rain and thunderstorms. But as I explained earlier, this is not wall-to-wall rainfall all day long. There will be some breaks. So that first line of downpours and rain moves in around early to mid-morning, around sunrise or so, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, we'll have rain, and it could be heavy at times. This will be brief, though. Notice by noon, we may start to see some dry time across most of our counties. Hello, Seymour, Indiana. You would see potentially that rain continuing during that time. Then storms start to move in from the north and west here. And pay attention to the clouds. Notice how the clouds really don't break up. We stay cloudy and the storms and showers kind of stay nearby most of the afternoon. That's a good thing. That limits the amount of instability we can have this far north. I will say there was a caveat here. If the system trends a bit more to the north, we would be a bit more exposed to some stronger storms and even the severe weather threat to our south. You'll see those risk areas here in just a moment's time. But for now, those clouds and the nearby rain-cooled air would kind of save most of our area from seeing a whole lot of that. That's why you don't see that red alert day moniker on this just yet. So that's 3 o'clock. Notice as we head toward 6, 7 o'clock, this line of storms coalesces out to our west. It develops because a cold front starting to push on it. And that line of storms could be a bit strong. I really think it's going to be south of here where the severe weather really gets played up a bit more. For us, it would be an isolated instance or two of damaging winds. You could have some small hail. I don't think this hail is going to be whopper size like it was the last 2 wacky sort of severe weather events we've had around here. But this line of storms will come to an end very quickly from northwest to south and east. Notice by like 9 o'clock, we're starting to see most of our area drying out. By 10 o'clock, this is all done, and you'll be able to sleep Sunday night just fine. As long as your bedtime here in Louisville's after 9 p.m., you shouldn't have to worry about it at all trying to get some sleep, because even though this isn't like a super dangerous scenario or anything like that, it's sometimes hard to sleep when it's storming. I know I have that problem trying to sleep when there's, heavy rain, thunder, small hail. That's no fun. So let's go through some of the severe weather parameters, as it were, here for this event. You'll see right now the Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk of severe weather. That's a 1 out of 5. And what they've done is they've actually moved this to the north a little bit. It now includes southern parts of Breckenridge, Hardin, and LaRue counties, as well as the entirety of Grayson, Hart, Greene, and most of Adair County, and like a little tiny sliver of Taylor County there. Don't pay attention too much to the exactness of where this is to the mile. Just keep in mind that this is an area where we could have a few instances of 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. I don't think Louisville is in the zone right now. The Storm Prediction Center, if they were to move this at all, they may try to go one more row of counties north, maybe from Brandenburg to Bardstown to Lebanon for a northern extent of that. They may do that. We'll see what happens. That's just based on the latest HRRR model. There's other data out there like the NAM 3K, for instance, and some of the other convection allowing models, the CAMs as it were. Those aren't quite as aggressive with the severe weather characteristics of this. So that's kind of an outlier. Storm Prediction Center seeing that, making sure at least that those very southern counties of wave country here are covered with just that baseline, small, isolated severe weather risk. Again, for us to have an alert day, at least by our criteria here, we have to have that yellow slight risk cover a pretty good deal of our counties, or basically anywhere touching Jefferson County for that. We're not even close to that, because that 1 out of 5, that marginal risk, only covers about an eighth of our area, maybe a fifth of our area, depending on how you like to do your fractions. So let's look under the hood. This is the HRRR model, the high resolution rapid refresh model. This is a model that goes out to 18 hours and it's generated every hour. And then every 6 hours, they have a version of it that goes out to 48 hours, which is handy. especially this time of year when you're trying to look a couple days in advance at advanced severe weather sort of characteristics and parameters and indices and somewhat here. And that is going to be what we see on the screen now is one of these parameters. It's called Significant Tornado Parameter, STP. And it basically takes the instability, the wind shear, all those tornado producing ingredients, puts it into a fancy equation and spits out a contour of where those equation values are higher or lower, right? So this is 3:30 p.m. Notice we do have a little area of very low tornado potential out to our west, but it's staying south of the Ohio River there. By 6 p.m., and again, this is the worst case scenario, okay? And I think this model's running a little hot on this. I would definitely shunt this a bit south, and I would lower the overall values by a bit here. But look at the scale up top. It's important to know what the scale is here, and you can see it right up here. This is still kind of in this section right here of the scale, kind of that low medium, all right? So this is not high, this is not even elevated. This is just kind of the baseline, like, hey, some tornado producing ingredients will be kind of nearby. But you see how it gets kind of shunted off here? I went through it a little too fast, but you can see how the ingredients get pinched off as it's moving through, and eventually this whole thing just dies out. And that's because the sun is going down as this line of storms is moving through, so the instability part of that equation is not being met. So the output continues to drop and drop and drop as you lose the heating. And also, you won't have a whole lot of instability around here, as we explained earlier, because you'll have the clouds and rain-cooled air. So again, I think this is running a little too hot. This is still something to keep an eye on here, but this is the one model that is running this as high as it looks right here. And even then, it's not that big of a deal, okay? This is not a huge tornado sort of scenario at all. The Storm Prediction Center does not have us under any tornado risk tomorrow for the most part here. So that's the tornado potential. Let's go to the potential rotation tracks. This model, the HRRR we were talking about, can also output where it thinks there will be storms that have what's called updraft helicity potential, basically where the updraft and the updraft of the storm is robust, and where the helicity or the corkscrew helical motion of the atmosphere is occurring. And when those two happen, you get that upward rising motion, you take that corkscrew and you start to turn it into more of a vertical sense instead of a horizontal. And that's how you get a rotating thunderstorm that could produce a tornado should it have the right ingredients to actually take that rotation and put it down to ground level. So this is 7 p.m. You see a little streak. I'm going to draw on it here because you might miss it if you're not paying attention. Oh, wrong tool. There we go. So you'll see this little streak out here by 7 p.m. Okay, let's keep an eye on that. And notice that streak becomes a lot less blue and just kind of these gray sort of baseline streaks. Usually you would see kind of the blue or even the yellow when it's something that's concerning. And even this model, the HRRR, HRRR, or the pirate model, HRRR as I call it, because it sounds like a pirate would say it, HRRR, it's not spitting out anything super alarming, even with its kind of overdoing the ingredients here. I'll zoom that back just a little bit here so you can see between hours. That's about the worst it gets right there. And notice all of this is south of Louisville. So southern Indiana, you're not in this at all, even with the model that's running a little too hot here. So again, I'm showing you the worst case scenario so that you'll know if there is to be a failure mode here, if something goes wrong, if we have more instability, more moisture than expected, this would be what would happen. We're not expecting this to happen right now, okay? Just wanted to tell you what the possibilities are. Again, even at the worst case scenario, Louisville would be spared from this and southern Indiana wouldn't be involved. So this would be our Kentucky counties that have, just a very slim window, very slim potential here to see a brief rotating thunderstorm. And that's about it, all right? So again, isolated damaging winds. That's about it with this. Some small hail. You could have a rotating thunderstorm or two that we would track, but I don't think the tornado potential here is very great at all. Here's the rainfall. This may be kind of a sneaky part of this just because with the track of that kind of secondary area of low pressure nearby, we would be in a zone where you get some thin streaks of heavier rainfall, potentially over an inch, especially in southern Indiana, a little closer to that low track up there. And you would get less of that down toward Campbellsville, Columbia, Munfordville, et cetera, because you wouldn't have the resonance time of that residence time, I should say, of that rain overhead as long. So basically, you'd get a big carve out of dry time around midday down there, and you'd only get hit by that initial quick round of rain and that final line of storms that would also be very quick. Whereas in southern Indiana, you're stuck in the rain and storms for a lot longer, so your rainfall total is a lot higher with that. What I'm going to do is just kind of plop on a regional view of the Storm Prediction Center outlook here for our Sunday, so that you can see kind of the context of all of this, because I showed you a lot of zoomed in views here, but I think it's important to know that, there we go, the areas to our south, by and large, have the bigger risk here. They've got that slight risk. For us, it is just that marginal 1 out of 5 risk. Now, if we kind of turn on some of the under the hood reasoning behind this, you see the tornado threat outside of our area entirely. Storm Prediction Center, as of their afternoon outlook, not buying that HRRR solution by a mile. They took it like 2 or 3 counties south of where even the HRRR model had some of those rotating storm ingredients there. So right now, 0 tornado threat from the Storm Prediction Center. Can this change? Yes, we've seen that already this week. Wednesday ramped up kind of a day before it happened. Thankfully, we're a day before this is getting ready to happen, and we're not seeing this big ramp up in severe weather chances just yet, even though we do have that one model that we need to keep an eye on just to make sure that we're going to be okay. And then, of course, the hail chance, it's not even around here at all. To see any sort of major league hail, you'd have to go down to like West Tennessee, down toward Mississippi, East Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, etc. So let's turn back on the tornado threat here so you can see that those folks down there, especially kind of near I-20, near Jackson, Mississippi, kind of north of their northern suburbs, that would be kind of the zone to watch for tornadoes. And we would just kind of be on the extreme northern extent with that tornado threat, at least from the Storm Prediction Center's angle, just outside of our area. So that's kind of the lengthy version of what's going to happen tomorrow. I know I've got like 10,000 comments here in the backlog, so I'm going to pick a few of these and answer some questions here and see what you all got cooking in your heads here this evening here. Let me go back to where I was before. Miley is watching from work. Hello to you. Let's see what else we've got here. Melissa is asking about the winds. We could see some 35, 40 mile per hour gusts outside of thunderstorms tomorrow, but really because of the lack of instability and sunlight, I think most of the gusts that would be significant will be confined to thunderstorms this time, a little bit different than before. And the thunderstorm wind gusts would be 50 miles per hour in most cases, 40, 50 miles per hour, with some rogue 60 mile per hour gusts in southern Kentucky. So that's what we're dealing with. Let's see here. Let's see. Christina says, thank you. You're very welcome. Todd's asking, hey, are you working on weekends? You need a vacation. This is day number 6 in a row for me. And then tomorrow I get to be off, which is going to be awesome. Let's see here. But of course, I'll keep an eye on the weather still. If we have any sort of severe weather problem that just happens to come up, I'll be available for that. Carson Meredith will be back here tomorrow, though. Let's see. Ashley's asking, when you say south, do you mean south of Louisville or south of Wave Country? South of Wave Country for the main potential, okay? South of Louisville, if there's to be a small potential for some stronger storms, maybe a rogue severe thunderstorm warning tomorrow, that would be south of Louisville for that. So yes, Ashley, you would be involved in that part. Let's see. How much CAPE? That's the limiting factor here. This would be between about 1 and 400 joules per kilogram of CAPE. Average of about 250 or so. You really start to need more than 500 this time of year. In the wintertime, you can get away with 200 CAPE, 300 CAPE, giving you some pretty gnarly severe weather. Once you start getting in towards April 1st and beyond, you're getting more into the spring severe weather season, and the atmosphere just requires more instability to really start to ramp up that severe weather threat. So we're kind of getting a little bit further away, I should say, from the winter sort of severe weather setups and more into the spring here. Nathan says, Wednesday severe weather was crazy. Yes, it was a little nutty. Let's see. Cameron always has the tough questions for me. The always knowledgeable Reed Timmer. very, very, very famous storm chaser, by the way, says more active year for tornado development due to the warm NPO, the North Pacific Oscillation, and La Nina. Do you see any guidance for that? Yeah, this has been super, super, super busy compared to average, that's for sure. And both of those reasonings seem pretty solid. When you get a sort of a weak La Nina developing, you get a lot of amplification of the troughs in the atmosphere and also the ridges too. So you get a lot of big swings between warm and cold. And often along those peripheries are severe weather events. So when you have a very amplified pattern like that, in a La Nina setup, you often get some severe weather. Conversely, an El Nino setup, which is warm waters off the coast of Peru, not the cold waters that we're kind of seeing now, an El Nino setup typically favors a more active subtropical jet, which gives us, the potential at least for kind of like a more of a rain scenario. The low tracks wouldn't be as significant. The low pressure systems wouldn't be as strong. The pattern would be less amplified. So it'd be just kind of a generic, like, okay, we're going to get some rain at times here. But when you've got that La Nina, you've got that amplification. And when you've got that amplification, you get these stronger low pressure systems that can put down, tornadoes like that. So that is somewhat of the reasoning why we've had so much severe weather across much of the eastern U.S. here. It's not just us. I mean, it's been crazy around the south, from the southeast to the northeast too. They've had a lot. Let's see here. And let's see. Michelle's asking if near the Breckenridge and Meade County line, could the severe weather outlook get expanded there? It's possible. I think you would be that northern extent. Really, I think the northern extent of any strong storms based on the current data is like Brandenburg, in areas of Breckenridge County. That would be your northern extent. I don't think that comes into Louisville right now. It's tough to, even 24 hours out, talk about county by county, but I think in this case, with the data that I'm seeing, Louisville's not involved, but south of Louisville could see some stronger storms briefly, maybe a severe thunderstorm warning, but the main threat would be south of our area, out of our area. Hopefully that helps you. That's why it's not an alert day. We just don't have the ingredients for that. Now, a short fuse alert day is possible. Carson Meredith could pull the trigger on that tomorrow morning if the data looks a little bit more alarming than it does today. This time of year, things can change overnight. So that's why I want to just, kind of say with some confidence that folks need to be able to keep checking back here. So keep checking with the Wave Weather app tomorrow morning to see how things are progressing for the evening tomorrow. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, Charles asking the proverbial, we are flying into X place at X time. Will there be trouble? Okay, flying into Louisville around 3:20 p.m. tomorrow from Florida. Is there going to be storms? There will be storms in the vicinity. I cannot tell you with certainty at this point that it will be storming here in Louisville. I will say commercial airlines pretty good about dodging around storms. There could be some delays tomorrow, but I don't see there being really any problems at the airport until maybe 5, 6, 7 p.m. when that line of storms starts to stack up. And that's when they're going to have to start thinking about diversions and things like that. And thankfully, that's a little less of a busy time at the airport, but still possible to have some delays and diversions tomorrow at the airport with that line of storms moving in. Even if it's not severe, it's just the problem is you've got these tall thunderstorm cores that you can't fly through. And then you've got wind shear problems that can arise when a thunderstorm's over the airport. And pilots don't want to mess with that either. So it gets complicated when a line of storms is moving through. Whereas individual storm cells that have some separation, they can fly around those. That's a little bit easier to deal with. Let's see. Braden Harper, our good friend. Any signals of any significant severe weather events in the near future? I think that'll wait till April. I've been kind of peeking at a few little things today, and April looks to be the time when we may reset to that. But the rest of this month, I think it's going to be more of a cool, showery pattern. And then as we kind of kick off April, especially like around April 2nd, plus or minus 2 or 3 days there, could get a little bit more interesting. Would it be here? Not sure, but just in general, the severe weather machine would be ramping up at least somewhere nearby. Rainfall totals, Kyle's asking, up to 1 inch in southern Indiana, 1/3 to 1/2 inch, a little closer to the Commonwealth here. Louisville may end up with somewhere just over 1/2 inch. Joseph, will next week be a week free of no alert days? So will next week have no alert days? Can't make any guarantees at this point, but so far, after tomorrow, And tomorrow's not an alert day right now, but if it were to be one, then that would kind of ruin it. But after tomorrow, I think we're good for a little bit here. We'll at least get some time to just relax a bit. Let's see here. Our friend Todd Richmond again. Looks like a busy severe weather spring, so it means Harden needs to stay in town the next few weeks. The weather gets worse when he leaves. I was that guy for a bit that when I left town, we had tornado outbreaks, like the July 4th or 5th, can't remember the exact date, 2023 outbreak. I was in Myrtle Beach. It was just not fun to be on vacation watching everything fall apart here. Everybody's like, oh, you get to be on vacation. Oh, that's fantastic. You missed it. And it's like, it's not a good feeling because you feel like you're leaving behind, your coworkers, your friends, your neighbors who depend on the information here. So it's not fun when severe weather is happening when you're on vacation, because that overwhelming sense of guilt just creeps in. So I like the weather to be pristine when I'm gone, so I truly can tune out for a little bit here. So that's not fun when that happens. But yeah, Kevin and I have kind of traded positions over the years of who leaves town and who has severe weather happen when they leave town. So it's kind of funny. Just Kevin had it for years, and then I kind of went on a streak. And then of course we had a tornado warning this past week in Jackson County, and he was out of town. So my turn. So it's kind of funny to see how that works. Let's see. ZK, I'm not good with directions. I believe Jeff is north of Louisville. Will you be stable? Yes, you're fine. Jeffersonville is north of Louisville. This is super important. Oh, you're going to make me do my sermon again. Let me go onto the mount here and tell you the good news about knowing where you live in severe weather season. You must know where you live. Oh my golly, it's so important. Please know where you live. And what do I mean by that? I mean, know what county you're in. So for instance, ZK, I'm going to pick on you for a minute. You're in Jeffersonville. Your county is Clark County. So you live in Clark County. If there's ever a warning for Clark County, you'll know, hey, that may include me. But that doesn't necessarily mean it does. You have to know what part of the county you live in. So if you live in Jeffersonville, you kind of live in the, southeast part of the county, right along the river there. So if that part of the county gets under a severe weather sort of warning with a polygon, that you're under that. And of course, it's a little easier nowadays because the Wave Weather app will tell you severe thunderstorm for your location. Easy, right? But when you're watching our coverage on live streaming or on TV, you have to know which part of which county you live in so that when storms are approaching, you'll know you are next. Sometimes we can't call every location, every county at all times. We got 34 counties to serve here. And if you're watching us not from our viewing area, by the way, we serve the Louisville area, Kentucky, and southern Indiana. We serve, quite a few counties. So we can't talk to everybody at every time here. So I just want everyone to know that you need to know where you live. It can be a factor in determining your safety in a severe weather event, because if you don't know where you live and you hear us say on live streaming like, hey, tornado warning for X county, and you don't realize you live in X county or even what part of X county you live in, then it's going to be tough for you to know when you need to take cover. So look at Google Maps, figure out what part of what county you're in. When you go to Google Maps, you can literally type in like Jefferson County, Kentucky. It'll show you the outline of the county, and you'll be able to see what part your little dot is in or your neighborhood is in. So you can kind of mentally know like, okay, that's my county. And then know kind of some things that are nearby, like, oh, do I live near I-65? Do I live near the Ohio River? Do I live near I-265? Do I live near US 42? Just kind of know where you're at. I know not everybody is directionally competent. I get it. I talk to folks even in this building here that are like, hey, when you guys show all these maps, we have no idea where I'm at. And that's all right. But know where you live. It's important. I know folks may have just moved here. Maybe you're an Army brat and you've moved around quite a bit and this is a new place for you. Welcome, first of all. Second of all, you got to know where you live. This is a severe weather part of the country here. Maybe not as bad as the deep south or the plains, but we still get it here. So that is my sermon. ZK, thank you for asking that question so I could tell you the good news about knowing where you live. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick break. I need to go through a couple little pieces of data and put them in my show here so that I can show you the rest of the forecast. And so about 1 minute from now, we'll be right back with the latest on what you need to know for the rest of the forecast for the next 10 days, and I'll take a few more of your questions. So give me 60 seconds. I'll be right back. Some of you may see some ads. All right, guys, I am back. Let's talk about the rest of the forecast here, which includes kind of a showery setup next week here, at least for 2 of the days. This looks like late Tuesday into early Wednesday morning, super early. We would have this disturbance kind of stuck in the northwest flow that would provide us with kind of some chilly showers here. These showers would not produce any sort of snow. I don't think we're in that territory yet when it comes to chilly. That would be up in Michigan. And then we would see somewhat of a break on Wednesday, maybe Thursday. We'd see a break too before more showers arrive on Friday in that northwesterly flow here. So this is kind of the overall setup here with the jet stream kind of overhead. It sends these disturbances our direction. What's tough about this setup is that the timing of these showers, kind of Tuesday and Thursday on our forecast for now, that can change a little bit in this northwest flow sort of scenario here. So keep up with our forecast if you're trying to figure out which day is going to have the highest rain chance. Now, there will be some clouds overhead quite a bit during the next week as well, just because that jet streak is going to be overhead too, creating some lift. So temperatures during this time, that's kind of the big question, will be close to normal, which is about 60 degrees for a high this time of year. I don't think we'll see anything super chilly out of that. Now, on the back side of this, you see that kind of high pressure, that ridge out to our west here in this demonstration. This guy right here is going to start moving eastbound as we head toward the end of next week. And what that's going to do is eventually give us a much warmer regime here with highs back into the 70s. Look at all those 80s to our west. Can we get some of those? We might be able to. We'll see. Right now, we've got 70s in the forecast here. And speaking of said forecast, here comes the 10-day earliest alert with the latest on what you need to know for the next 10 days. 100% chance of storms on Sunday. This will be a clean sweep. Everybody within the sound of my voice who's local to us will see storms on Sunday. Monday is windy. That's something I didn't talk about here, but those wind gusts on Monday could be up to 40 miles per hour at times. We could get awfully close to wind advisory criteria here. We'll see how that goes. We don't have an alert day out for that yet because I think it'd be up to 40 miles per hour, not really exceeding 40 miles per hour. We like to be transparent with this alert day criteria here, telling you that tomorrow's not an alert day because we don't have enough of our counties in the severe weather risk yet. Monday is not an alert day because we don't have wind gusts over 40 miles per hour in our forecast yet. Those are kind of the two pieces of criteria I've been looking at today for the next 2 days. And I want you to know kind of what our criteria is so that we can be fully transparent with you on what these alert days are all about. They're to get your attention when the weather could impact you in a way that may threaten your safety, may threaten your plans, may grossly inconvenience you here, just so that you know what could be coming your way to get your attention here. And then we've got another chance of storms Sunday of that next weekend. So that's 2 Sundays from now. So 2 stormy Sundays in a row here, it looks like. Possibly with temperatures near 60 or 70 degrees, I should say. I saw that 60 for a low there. Our lowest low temperature, by the way, would be Thursday morning at 39 degrees. And tomorrow morning, we'll have about the same low temperature as well. So we're staying above freezing for quite some time, but don't put down your sensitive plant seeds yet or put out any of your sensitive plants out in the cold just yet. You want to wait to plant until after Derby or Mother's Day around here, we always say, because that's always a good rule of thumb. Let's see if we've got any other comments or questions here. If looks like you guys got quiet. Good grief. Braden's asking a good question, though. Do you think winter weather is over for the year, ready for spring and summer type weather? I think it's mostly over, yeah. We've had some April surprises before in the not too distant past, so I don't want to say it's completely over, but I think we're to a point now where spring has sprung and it's going to stay like that. I don't see a scenario where we get any sort of significant snow or ice or anything like that in the next couple of weeks. Todd says, is criteria plural for criterium? Hey, you wanted questions, right? I guess so. I guess it is. Criterium, criteria, yeah. I'd never thought about that before because you never have like one criterium, right? You have usually multiple things. When you have a list of criteria, you won't just have like one bullet point, right? So I guess nobody uses criterium. Criteria would be like 2 or more, which 99.9% of the time is the case. Let's see here. Okay. Ed says, when will the rain start on Sunday? I'm in Carrollton. We just went through that, but just a quick Cliff's Notes version of this here. We'll have a round of rain around 9 a.m., a little bit of dry time around midday. Storms start to move in late in the afternoon, and they'll be here during the evening. So around dinner time, it will be storming. By 10 p.m., we're all done with storms. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm hungry. It's dinner time. I know some folks out there may not have eaten either, so I won't waste your time any longer here. As always, we are on the Wave Weather app 24/7, updating that as necessary, and we will be back here. Carson Meredith will likely be back here around this time tomorrow with live coverage of some of these storms as they move through. Again, the severe weather threat is very low here. We will continue to monitor the data as it comes in this evening, overnight, and early tomorrow. Have that Wave Weather app for the latest. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your Saturday evening. I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke.